Thank you for tuning in. You're now listening to
Deliberately
Deliberately
Woke.
Woke. We have a lot to talk about.
Let's get into it. So, I wanted to talk about this concept of the definition of fetishization and just in general. Nowadays everyone on apps and meeting people and putting preferences. And I think it's an interesting topic to talk about. Like, where's the line between being a fetish
And a
and a
preference.
preference, right? As, people of color, right? And like being in these spaces where, you meet everyone from different races. And it's not just white people that fetishize people,
Oh,
but
no.
like
We do it to
we
ourselves.
do it to each other,
Yeah.
other people of color, and like other, like other narratives or stereotypes about or like myths about people, and we
Right.
we hold them like their law, and it kind of like influences our preference or what we want.
Absolutely.
So I just want you to listen to this definition.
For me as a Black trans woman, the moments that I felt fetishized have been moments that I've been reduced to an identity or to a quality and not fully seen as my brilliant, amazing self.
To me, being fetishized is like this gross feeling I get when someone fixates on my culture or something that's aesthetic, but that's not about me as a human being.
It's very singular and one-dimensional.
You're a fat body, you're a queer body, and not anything that is actually me.
So I wanted to get your opinion on like what your definition of fetishization is, and also, but in general, like, where's the fine line, or does it make you uncomfortable, or do you avoid certain people
based on
because of like comments you get? Because
Yeah,
you've shared with me some
Yeah.
of your lovely comments that you've received, and it's like, wow, this is happening
Yeah.
today, nowadays.
It is happening. The things that people say are just outrageous. But for me, like, and do in some horrible situations. But like, for me, it becomes a fetish when you're like sexualizing or objectifying a person
Right.
solely based on like one aspect of their identity. Like,
Right.
oh, like you have red hair, you got red beard. Oh yeah, now I love you because you have a red beard. Or like even worse, like, oh, you're black. I just love the black look. Or like, I love your features solely because you are
Right.
black or have this identity. Or and it's more so like reducing somebody
Right.
to those characteristics,
Right.
whether it's a cultural, ethnic, or racial identity, or even an aesthetic, or just the way you look, like, because there are some bigger people who are fetishized because somebody just wants to be with somebody that has this look, but it has nothing to do with like your real personality or what really makes you you. Now, of course, your identity influences the type of person
Right.
you are. It can, but it's not all of who we are. It's like the reason why we talk about, people of color not being a monolith. Black people, we're not all the same. We all do and like different things and operate in different levels. But like, I definitely have been fetishized.
Of course.
I've
We
been
all have.
fetishized before. I've had white men tell me that I'm just like so black and so curvy and exotic looking, and that's why they're into me, and like they want to get to know me just
Or they're
based on
chocolate lovers.
yeah, I have friends that are, dark skinned. Like I have a friend who's called a chocolate of the brown M&M. Like so I was like, you're the brown M&M. You're the brown M&M. And
The
this was-
purest.
yeah, you're chocolate is what they're trying to say. And it's like, what the hell? Why do you think I'm going to be attracted to like you saying this ridiculous thing to me or reducing me? I'm not a flavor. I'm not food. I am me. Like I'm a person. Like I'm not reduced down to like my caramel, cookie butter is my new thing. I'm calling myself no tone.
Cookie, but I like that.
Right. But I'm not that, and dating apps, people will definitely like fetishize certain features that you have. For me, hair has been a big thing.
Same.
Within my communities, like people, the Black community, white people, everybody's obsessed with like Caribbean people. Everybody's obsessed with like the hair. And I have been, I guess on the positive side of this fetish.
Definitely in comparison to mine.
Yeah, especially with hair. I've always been like, oh, wow, you have great hair. You have good hair. It's, soft, a certain texture, certain pattern, curl pattern that people find attractive because it is looser, because it is closer to this idea of whiteness, although white people aren't the only ones with this type of hair. It's really not. These features are not specifically white, but they're conflated with this idea of whiteness. And I have been fetishized based on the hair, certain features that I have. My skin tone even being told, I'm the darkest that people will go, like, which is disgusting and a huge turnoff. I mean, no, I don't know where this person is today.
Right.
But people really just come out of pocket and say anything that they want when it comes to the way that you look. And definitely been fetishized on dating apps. It's really weird. It can be very strange. For you, I'd love to hear, or for you to recap some of your experiences, or what it means to you. And
I think it's hard to like quantify like what's the difference. But I guess personally, the difference is when you kind of feel dehumanized a little bit and kind of like being objectified, but also where it's like you're like a toy or not a person, is where I feel like that's where the line, is drawn. Or you go automatically when like, oh, where are you from? But where are you really from? Yeah. Oh, I've been there. And
the people are
the
beautiful.
people are beautiful. You, spicy or like, stuff like that, like spicy or lively or colorful, like these type of words.
Oh God!
It's like, oh my God! It's like
I didn't think I'd be called that. But I have been.
Right, exactly. So these are where it's like, okay, it's no longer a preference.
Yeah, or
it's a fetish.
Yeah, because I think what preference is like. We're attracted to, generally speaking, we're attracted to who we're attracted to, but it still is informed by society, like how we think of what is attractive and what's not. But you can appreciate the way someone looks or really like the way somebody looks, that they'd be very attractive to you, but not ascribing it to the racial or cultural or ethnic identity of the person, because there's unattractive and attractive people of all
in every country, every identity group,
right. But for you to say like, oh, it's because of this, and that being like your primary reason for like approaching somebody, is when it becomes icky and weird,
or they're like, oh, I know you're good at this or not good at this because you're from here, or oh, I've been with many people from there, so I know, like, and it's like that is where it's like different. And we talked about this, like pop culture examples and the Insecure scene with I forgot what's his
Lawrence's character. This is like, I think it's a second season, where Lawrence is single and he's like, he's at a grocery store one day and like he leaves his wallet in the car and
they buy his alcohol.
Yeah, Lawrence is a black character for those of you who haven't seen Insecure, and there are these two white girls in the line behind him and they pay for his food, and then they're like, yeah, let's hang out, and he's like hyped because it's two girls, of course. So he goes
and he texts his friend and they're like, oh, we're doing like that.
Yeah.
And then again,
it's on both sides too. So I feel like there's levels to it, but there's still like, him wanting to experience, which is fine, like, but it gets muddy, right? Because he wants to experience like these white girls. I think more so he wants to experience like the threesome that he's about
I didn't
to have.
I didn't think it was more of the white girl thing, but it could be both. I think it's both. I feel like
just in my experience in talking to some black men,
but it's also like the narrative about white women.
Yeah, there is a fucked up narrative about what they will or won't do in bed. And so anyway, back to the scene. He ends up like going back with them. They are sleeping together and he finishes, and the other girl is looking to hop on the ride too.
To enjoy.
And he's like, well, I need like a few minutes like to recoup. And they're like, ugh. And then I forget the name that they say. I'm going to use Jamal.
It's something like
it's something.
Daquan or
Yeah,
some
Daquan.
shit.
Yeah, it is. I think it's
Something
Daquan.
like that.
They're like, ugh, the other guy, the other black guy, Daquan, like he was ready to go immediately, and then
Right.
they like cut like
Say,
communicating.
you want Thai food?
Yeah,
tonight?"
they cut communicating with him altogether.
Like he's not human
He's
anymore.
not
he
human.
wasn't human
I mean,
ever.
I feel like he has like brings like the covers over him.
Right, because that's the dehumanizing side of it.
So they like literally just wanted to have a threesome with him, not because they're horny or whatever, want to have a threesome, their choice, but because he's a black guy, like he has the stamina, and they knew they were gonna
Because
get
they've
that.
been with the other black guy,
Yeah, 'cause they
and
were
every
with the-
black guy's the same.
Yeah, and they wanted the BBC or whatever. And they thought that Lawrence was the same as Daquan, is the same as
It's the
Jamal,
same.
whoever.
It doesn't matter.
It
It's
doesn't.
all the same. It's
it
like a
doesn't
factory,
matter.
and
right.
they're all the same.
That's definitely a scene where he was being fetishized.
Yeah.
Because of something that they thought that he could do for them solely based
On
on
his
his
skin color.
appearance.
Right.
Yeah. And that's where the muddy lines.
Right. And that's where it becomes a fetish, because if they would have just like not said that and like
Yeah, but I guess that was their whole approach.
that was their whole approach, exactly.
there was a
But then
reason. They were
saying,
like,
"Oh, this guy, let's call." And I think they even said, "Let's call him" or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and they knew, it's like they knew that he was going to agree to this, and in their minds I wouldn't be surprised if they were like, yeah, black guys love, want to fuck a snow bunny or something stupid.
Snow bunny.
I'm not joking though. Like in this scene, like you could
Oh my
tell, like
God.
they really, I feel like they knew they had power. Granted, it's like two girls and like the stereotype of men like being willing to do whatever with whomever,
Right.
and it's like this awesome opportunity for him. But they knew he was going to agree, and that they could just say whatever the fuck they
Yeah,
wanted to say. I
that's
think how
true.
they wanted to think with him. I think he did want to experience it on a few different
Right, he
levels.
had just broken up with.
Yeah, he had just broken up with his girl, the main character on the show, and whatever. But I'm very happy that scene was put in there.
No,
because
I mean
indeed,
I always think about
Yeah.
that scene when I talk about this, because I think that plays it well, because exactly, he went in with good intentions, and maybe he did have his own stereotypes about white chicks, but and I think the way he reacted at the end shows like how
he felt
you feel
used.
like the fetish makes you feel dehumanized, the person that is being fetishized. So I think that's a great scene
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
I think that really just puts it all into perspective
Mhm.
for sure.
Absolutely.
Or like people that we've heard like in office conversations about only wanting to date real black people, real black men.
Oh Lord,
Right.
she's back
She's
again.
back again.
The Get Out Cookie Queen. There's so many
She's
stories
insane.
that we have not revealed
Right.
about Miss Nancy, but she really, there's this coworker we had, and she really would say things like, "I'm only dating real black men, from Africa."
No, she paused.
Oh.
She would do a pause. Like she would say, "I only date real black men," and then people would be like curious,
Define
like,
that.
and then
What
she
does
would
that
do a
mean?
pause for like dramatic effect and be like, "My last boyfriend was from Nigeria," and it's like, "Oh my god."
Oh.
I was
You
like,
gotta,
"Jesus."
yeah.
I was
It's like sick.
like she went to the fucking store, like the
yeah,
department
like she
store.
got a real one.
She got an antique.
And she gets to collect and keep.
Ugh,
This is,
she's sick.
yeah, really.
You
Get
know,
Out. I mean, she
is
is
a
part
sick
of the
woman.
inspiration for this.
She is a sick woman. But yeah, stuff like that you would hear, or like even on the dating apps, like what you were saying, like BBC and all these things. Like a lot of, I think, porn too has really added fuel to the fire
Yeah,
to
you
these
know.
fetishes and like what people want, and
Down
it's
to
like
hair texture,
hair
body type,
texture,
skin tone.
right?
And these come from these colorist narratives and
Yes.
systems that we live in, and we're talking about pop culture. I can think of even older movies that highlight this colorism and like who is desired more based on this. And it is a fetish too. Like we're still fetishizing these people, even if they have like the
Right.
it's seen as positive because they're desired. It's not the
Right.
same as like being valued though as a person.
Right,
You know?
you're not being valued. I mean, it's the same thing we talked about, like that Kardashian effect. Like that's in right now
Yeah.
is to like have a biracial child, and they capitalize on this.
Yeah.
And is that a good thing? I mean, I'm sure some people would say, "Oh, it's good that it's like more mainstream," but really, is it? Because it's like, I
Well,
mean,
you
they're
know.
a sick bunch of sisters.
You know, I mean, like, look, we'll never know who really loves anybody that they have a child with.
Right.
But one thing on that show, and it's not even,
But they target black athletes.
100%. And, you know, artists, black artists,
Right.
musicians.
Right.
And they're like, that's their,
That's their thing.
It is
That's
like
part
a,
of their
it
brand.
is like a fetish.
It
It is
is.
like a fetish, especially I think about, there's one scene in an older episode before Kim has her kids, like, or she's at Larsa Pippen's house.
I know her. She was on the Real Housewives of Miami.
Cannot stand her. But anyway, she's just so messy and just like, ugh.
She's
Ugh.
not a good person.
She's fucked up. But anyway, Kim is at her house, and this is when Kim, you know, started dating Kanye. And she's like, Kim was looking at her kids. She's like, oh, they're so cute. Like, she's like, Kim, if you and Kanye have kids, they too will look like this. Oh, so every fucking mixed child looks the same,
Right.
and that's
it's
your.
not even the same. Isn't she? What is she? Indian?
I don't know.
Pakistani?
I don't know. I don't know what her ethnic identity is, but I do know that she likes having mixed babies. And
Right.
it seems like it's for the sake of having. It's not even like. It would be perverse even if you were like, oh, I'm going to impact human, like, society by having a mixed child, like, for the sake of doing it outside of, like, wanting to love and nurture a human being is fucking weird. And obviously people have kids for different reasons. But to say, like, oh, because I'm going to have a mixed baby, so I'm going to start dating this black guy. And just, like, to me, it feels like they just want to steal people's sperm and, like, procreate. Or, like... I don't know that that white men have the same sentiment towards black women. Like, I don't know how men are in terms of, like, you know, at least with children and, like, the type of child that they would like to have. Although, on the other side of this, it could be said that some of these, you know, black athletes or black artists, these black men who get with these types of white women probably share that sick sentiment as well of, you know, now you get to have a light-skinned daughter or a light-skinned son. And it says a lot about, like, the psychology and the experience of somebody, because obviously there must be something negative that was going on in their lives to make them want to, you know, only procreate with or have a child with somebody that's white for the sake of them being lighter or mixed, you know what I mean?
She's Syrian and Lebanese.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I had to. I had to look it up.
Okay, so she's Syrian and Lebanese,
Right.
and she had babies with Scottie Pippen, who's a black man. I
Right.
don't know his ethnic makeup,
Right.
but she's a sick.
African-American.
She's a sicko.
Right.
When I saw that episode, I was
Right.
like, "This is disgusting. How could you speak to your kids like?"
But it's like a
about-
little like
speak about your kids like this.
it's kind of like, you know, genetics, you know? And it's like, oh no, it's not genetics. What is it called? What's the word? What they did? Eugenics.
Yeah.
It's like eugenics in the sense like it's cool to have a biracial kid, and it's all over like campaigns like Children's Place and all these places.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
I mean, I've seen this-
That's what it is for like the
Yeah.
last 10 years. And I think, I mean, it's interesting you say like you don't know if white men do it, but I know like black guys do that with white women
Yeah.
and Latin women for the kids' hair. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
super, like that's a big thing with like, you know, even me when I was in college going to, I told you, like Caribbean parties. It was like that was a thing. I don't even know these people, and they were like, "Oh, we should have a kid together," because
wild.
their hair, you know, coolie hair and all these things. Like it's like that's like something that is super important. Like I don't know, like with white women, what is the attraction? If it's just like I feel like it's just an accessory to have a biracial kid.
Yeah, I mean, well,
You know?
I think part of it can be ascribed to the fact that women are the ones that are going to carry the baby, and you know, who typically,
Right.
stereotypically want to have children and like fantasize about having kids and stuff like that. So I think it's maybe a woman thing. But conversely, with black men and brown men who want to have babies with white women for the sake of that, like, I don't know, it becomes complicated. I don't know if white men are doing this. I mean, obviously there are white men, and white men want to have kids.
I mean,
but
white
are they
men
in the
highly fetishize Asian women.
Well,
but I don't know if it's because of kids that they would have, or more sexual.
Yeah. Well, again,
Like,
that's another fetish that people have with, and it's like running off of these stereotypes that people have of Asian women, like you said, being submissive, and which is just. These stereotypes are so disgusting and just so inaccurate too. Like, I don't know which women they're talking about. Like, and also the person that would be okay with being fetishized is like, really, is it a survival thing for some people? Probably.
It is.
And not wanting to have any.
I mean, also being
confrontation.
brainwashed.
Yeah,
in a
to
way.
think that you are better for that, but it's not. Again, it's
like,
not really your value. Like, you're not valued in this situation.
Right. And like, at least I'll speak for like Latin communities and like, again, Caribbean Latin communities, which are very specific. Like, there is this like reward to get a white husband. You know, there is this like, oh, you
have ascended.
Yeah, you have made it, you know, and that's whether it's a white like American husband or even a white person from that country, like, and you're a darker skinned person. That is like, you've made it. This is good. Like, your kids will be better off for this. So thank you. So I think it's like being brainwashed in that sense. Like, oh yes, that coveted.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that exists. I mean, I do think it exists. I mean, I'm not Asian, so I don't know, but I do think that exists with Asian women too, and Asian people in general. Like, getting a white partner is something that is, you know, you see it a lot. You know, even in the gay community, you see a lot of like white guys with Asian guys. Like, that's a big thing. Yeah, it's just like kind of like, I think it has to deal with like colonialism and like that trauma of like trying to be like, oh yeah, like I'm worthy now because this white guy likes me or something. And it's also how we think of beauty and beauty standards. You know, like in the Latin community, the straight hair is really important. And, you know, the makeup, especially like in Dominican Republic, the makeup to make you lighter or look whiter,
or
make
skin
your,
lightening
or make your
tools.
make your nose look more refined with that contour, like all these things.
So
I
that
think
that has become part of like popular mainstream makeup culture,
right? And I think it's that, like, what beauty is to be more acceptable to European standards of beauty, particularly. You know, and I think also in the African American, you know, arena, like, you know, I'm a real fan of Housewives, and they have criticized Potomac for that. Most of them being, you know,
lighter skin,
fair skin black women or mixed black women, and some of them are identified as fully black, but like visually would
look
be look like or have European aesthetics, you know, and what that means, you know. And there are people like, you know, famous people that have like become more white looking and stuff like that. Even J-Lo's a victim of this, like with the blonde hair and how she has gotten lighter through the years.
But there's still this fetishization of an exotic look.
Right.
The ambiguous look. Quote unquote. Like,
but it's more with the body, not with the face. You know?
The face too, because it's still not. You're not going to see a pale ass person.
No,
that is not.
That's done now.
Yeah, that's not what's attractive. So you're going to have.
You'll have an orange.
Honestly,
person.
I feel like the majority of these people want to be light-skinned black women with green eyes.
Right.
That's the look. So
the ambiguous Kardashian look, where they are.
Well, they don't even look like themselves, but.
But I'm saying they look like they, in certain circumstances, could pass for white. But again, they have like, they also are like ambiguous, racially ambiguous a little bit.
They're half Armenian, you know, and
where do you put that?
I don't know, because these women are white though. Like in this country,
in this country, they are.
They are white in this country,
right? They are,
you know,
definitely.
But it is, you're right. Their look is even contrived too
to
look like this, and them being like this pillar of beauty. Kim Kardashian just won like fashion icon award from, I think it was not the American Music Award, People's Choice Award. She just won something, but she has become like this standard for all kinds of people. Like to look with the hair, the makeup, the contour, the eyebrows, everything, the look with the body too, all of these
Fake
things.
body, but yeah.
Well, yeah, that's why I say her look, all of their looks are contrived. They don't look like this thing that they've chiseled their face to start looking like. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like this standard person.
But you think that they're I know you mean that they're a standard, but I think it's a certain subgroup of the U.S. that want to look like them.
I don't think
And I also
but,
don't think they look like, I wouldn't consider them like the all-American
No,
look.
but I think that all-American look is dying.
No,
like,
I
nobody
know,
wants to
but-
look like these couples that have their weddings in barns and, have these, you know what I'm talking about. Nobody wants this all-American, middle of America look. That's not what's hot. Like, even those people have changed
Right.
to kind of be closer to this idea because, again, they are seen as white. So, like, even though they have... I won't say appropriated, adopted characteristics of other people. Like, you know what
They
I mean?
definitely
Even
appropriated
their
it.
lips, the whole lip
Everything
thing,
is fake.
the whole cheekbone thing, changing your eyebrows or your whole facial structure,
Right.
really to look like a light-skinned black person, like a mixed black person. I think that this is the desired look. And even with the style and things that they've,
Right.
started to wear their hair a certain way, like the nails too. I mean, like, I have to say this because I love nails, but I remember going to school, predominantly white high school with girls, like being afraid to get tips because acrylic nail extensions because they think it's ghetto. Like now you can't go anywhere without all kinds of people having long ass nails that are fake. But the Kardashians started wearing the
Right.
nails. I'm not saying they weren't always like this because I don't.
They weren't.
No, I think they have throughout their lifetimes. If you look at old pictures of them, have like certain things about Black American culture.
Oh, yeah.
and have done certain things. I don't want to. I don't want to call them appropriators necessarily because
I mean, I think they are because it's a part of their brand. I think they had mixed kids. It's a part of their brand to do that, and I think it says why that one that had the kids with the white guy is like I mean, they're all famous, but I feel like Kim.
that's why she's less famous.
Right. I feel like Kim and the
Kim
the
is-
other sister. I don't follow them.
Chloe.
Sorry, I don't follow them.
Chloe
that
or Kylie.
No,
the three
Chloe,
of
the
them.
tall one.
Yeah, Chloe.
I feel like they, that her marriage to the Laker guy and then her baby and the baby drama she's having.
But what about, like the only reason why I say, I don't know. With them, I'm always like, it is fetishizing, but then I'm like, it's partially preference too, because if before they were famous, like Kim Kardashian was married to a black man before she was famous.
Right. But I'm saying, I guess it becomes a fetish and problematic when you capitalize on it. That's what I'm saying. That's, I don't know. That's what I feel.
I mean, it is interesting what's going on with them.
And I feel like the whole criminal justice thing that she's doing is great. But again, she's only getting this platform because, you like black guys. You know what I mean? Like, that's where...
Well, she has black kids now, so...
But I mean, what I'm saying is, like, if I was in that platform, you give that to a person of color, the voice to do that. You go behind the scenes. You don't step in front and be like, yes,
but she
this
knows
is my...
that she was going to be the one let in the door.
I guess.
That's the only thing I have to say about that part of.
I mean, I guess. I just feel like, I mean, again, I don't really like, I'm someone that lives outside of these, like, fads and, like, I hate, like, following people because they're famous. Like, because I feel like they have no talents or anything. And, like, great for them. Their mom is, I wish I had a fucking manager like that. But I also think, like, a lot of it is all fake and, like, this, like, there's nothing real about their lives, and I feel like they honestly
it's not because they put it out on
right
TV.
and I
Everything
feel
is
like
just-
they contrived all their spouses, and I feel like that's how I feel. I don't know them, but I feel like all that was like for the fame, and good for them. They're freaking filthy rich. Congratulations. But there's a part of them that just doesn't seem authentic and doesn't seem like it's a part of the brand to be like that. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just my opinion about it, but
the reason I think I'm like on the fence is like because these men that get with them, these people that choose to be in these spaces want to gain something as well.
Right,
And that's what
I mean,
makes
she's super famous and a sex symbol. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
get that
but
them
that's
wanting to
what
be, saying you were with a Kardashian now. That's, I mean, that's huge.
what makes me feel weird about like.
But even the brother with Black China and stuff, like, that's what I'm saying. I feel like
That
it's
was
all,
it's
all
that one was
contrived, I
I
find.
don't know, Black China's insane.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's all contrived. Like, they're like, yeah, we love, like, we just love
No,
Black
I mean
people and, like,
that
mixed
situation
kids and
is
stuff.
very specific, based like.
I mean, I know nothing about it,
Well-
but I don't follow them.
With that situation, Black China definitely targeted Rob because Kylie stole her boyfriend. You remember Black China has a child with Tyga, and Tyga, who, again, I feel like he's pedophile, started dating Kylie before she was 18 while they were together, and then left Black China for Kylie, and that destroyed like the relationship because Black China and Kim were friends. I see what you're saying. Like they do like, oh, I have a black friend for fun. Like even it's like this tokenism thing. Even with Kylie and her friend her ex-friend Jordan, who allegedly kissed Chloe's husband or not husband, boyfriend or whatever he is now. We can't even talk about this properly because you're not caught up in all the drama.
I'm not caught up at all.
Dang, there's so much happening
I think
now.
in my life I've seen maybe 2 episodes of that show, and I could barely watch it. Everything annoys me about those people.
Really?
Yeah,
You
I
don't
just
like
can't.
it?
I just cannot stand them for some reason. And I love reality TV, but for some reason I just never clicked with them.
I don't know. It's like a trance. I'll tell you, my original theory about them is that they're witches and they've all entranced
Maybe.
this country through the screen.
Yeah, I mean they have built a brand on literally a sex tape. So I mean, good for them. Kudos to
It's
them.
a miracle.
It's a
And
miracle.
But also that's why I think they are white though, because I don't think that this story.
Well, yeah.
It wouldn't work with somebody else. It would just be a sex
Right.
tape, and so would be a hoe for the rest of their life, and that's it. You
Right,
know
but
what I mean?
the mom was strategic on putting them in places where
Also,
they would build up
Yeah.
and like where people are like you're saying, like her being a fashion icon now, and like pushing the needle. But again, also that in of itself is like, does she even pay homage to like Black women or Latin women that have been doing that type of dress and fashion for years?
I mean, I think she has to.
Has
I mean,
she? I don't know.
I forgot who she thanked when she was up there, but she thanked Kanye because Kanye is the person who introduced her to fashion, and like he has his. You can say what you want about him, and we could have a whole conversation about him.
I'd rather not.
But he did introduce her to the fashion world and is a part of it himself as
Right.
a creative, and so she did thank him for that. I'm not a fashion person like that. I don't really know all the designers. only have surface level
And
knowledge.
I have no knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, but
I have no knowledge.
I think she has tried to acknowledge stuff.
That's good then, I guess.
I don't not like her.
No, I know.
This is my only.
I know. That's fine.
But anyway, back to the conversation.
No, but they're a part of it. Because
No, I agree.
They're a part
of it. They found a way to capitalize
Right.
off of co-opting looks that are not
Yeah, they're a part of it, and I agree with you.
traditionally white looks.
Like
and
their
are
look
black.
and the fake asses and the fake
I mean,
lips and the
They were
the
ahead of
big
the curve with how to do this.
But that whole thing, like the eyebrow stuff, Latin women have been doing that
I mean,
forever. Just
as
look at
a-
my family
as
photos.
a fellow hairy person.
Just look at my family photos. Like our eyebrows are like 3 inches.
You're
Okay,
right. The
It's
hairy
like,
disc with the arms. I've
you
seen
know,
the memes.
right? So like that's where I'm saying like these things that are like or even the hairstyles, like the ponytail or the buns and things. Those are things that have been done if you have thick hair.
The baby hairs. I mean, that's
right.
why I said even
if you
down
have
to the
thick hair,
nails.
that's
yeah.
been a part of
Yeah.
Black and Latin culture for a long
And they
time.
fine, they do have thick hair, but again, they're doing something. It's the way that the
Even
media,
men. like Drake's look when they're like, oh, he looks like a Dominican puppy. Like that's a
Yeah.
whole thing. Like
Yeah.
the beard, like all
Well,
these things.
Thank God for that beard for him because
Right.
need it.
But I'm saying like before like that became a thing, you had like just white guys that looked like the brawny man, you know, from
Yeah, I know.
but
I
now
agree.
it's like
It has influenced how we look, getting
Right.
lineups, and shape
Right.
ups, and all this stuff. Hair, nails, which I would love to do something about nails. I don't know why it resonates with me, but like I really like hate. I love that it's like super popular now, and that more people are becoming nail
Right.
artists. And like I said, I go to Black and Brown places to get my nails done. But like this whole idea, all these looks and things are considered ghetto before
they
before
made
they
it
co-opted
mainstream.
it, and like
Right.
Kim Kardashian has long fingernails that have a piercing in it. I'm like, Janet Jackson did that first before, but like people don't know, they don't have the context
Right.
of culture in this country, even though people have been doing it. That's where it becomes frustrating and sickening as a person who's been doing this and just living their life,
Right.
been called all these things or stereotyped or fetishized in a negative way, and then these people come and have the look and are praised for it.
Right.
That's what becomes, hard to digest, and why people become pissed.
Right.
You know?
No, and again, I think also the dating apps and like the preferences.
Well, with that, I mean, it's like there's a whole bunch of statistics. I don't even know if it's useful to fucking read these reports that come out about these things because honestly, they're discouraging. And I also don't want to internalize those kinds of things,
Right.
like the idea that Black women are less desired. Asian women are the most approached on these dating sites, and then Asian men are the least approached. Black women and Asian men are the least approached groups on these sites based on
Because
these
the
fucked up. Yeah,
stereotypes
these
about
fucked up.
Asian
yeah,
men.
I know it's fucked up. Like I really would not want to endure that. It's really messed up that we have it all
sucks.
ingrained, and it's been there's
So
so
I wonder if this is the same on like LGBTQ apps. I don't know. I have no idea what the statistics are.
It would be nice to like fully like to encapsulate everybody. I'm pretty sure they're talking about like hetero experiences.
Well,
on these
no. I
apps
mean, the
and-
only thing that I've seen a report about the LGBTQ apps is the toxic masculinity that exists. That more masculine in your pictures, you're more like they get more hits or more like people like talking to them as opposed to like someone who's more on the feminine side. So that I've heard, but I haven't heard anything about race, but it exists heavily
yeah.
in the LGBTQ
Yeah.
community, especially in like, spaces, gay clubs and gay bars, and now that's like a thing that's happening. Like people like the Poppy Juice franchise, like the Poppy Juice whole thing in Brooklyn was about like creating spaces for people of color who are LGBTQ, because so many of the spaces are for like white guys.
Yeah.
And being fetishized there, which is really problematic. And also like it's harder to reach some of these, white gay guys because they already they feel oppressed, right?
Yeah,
in a
but they
way
are
different,
still-
and they're like, we don't feel that because we're gay and we've had which they have. I'm not taking that away from them, but they are still white men.
Yeah.
And especially the ones that have money and stuff, you're still a white guy.
Yeah, and if you're very masculine presenting, like you were saying, then
Right.
the whole idea of you goes back to that standard,
And we've talked about this too, about like, like the world, when we talked about what's the gay rapper's name?
Lil Nas.
Yeah, when we talked about his video and how people were disturbed by the video where he's fucking the devil, right? Because like there's this lack of comfortability with like gay men of color exploring their femininity, and that's all rooted in the race, but also like this fetish, which I think porn too, like
Yeah.
this fetish of like
Black
this
bodies.
right, this black body and the aggressive black guy and the BB, like all this stuff. It's like a whole mindset, and I think that's something to study too. Like, is it good to have porn at your fingertips? And some people sit there 10 hours watching this.
No, not in that case. 'cause
Right,
it's
but
your-
I'm saying even for multiple hours, like watching it, because
Yeah.
it also, when you watch it, like a lot of it is very violent and very like
I know. There's a lot of
it's-
very
and very
sick stuff.
racialized,
Yeah,
you
there's-
know. So I'm just saying, like, all that plays into this. I think, like, the apps and, like, people like the Kardashians, there's other people like them, but also, like, this, like, wave of mixed, you know, people, or, like, that film on Netflix that we talked about, Passing, like, all this, you know, that plus the porn plus the dating apps created, like, this weird, super fetishized world where we're all, like, characters,
Yeah.
you know, and it's really
with
weird.
You. I agree with you because, yeah. We internalize a lot of weird things, you know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, being called like that time I told you I was at the office dinner and being called white chocolate by some gay guy, right? And then automatically, like, coworkers assuming that we were gonna be going home together because we're both gay.
Well,
and
that's
like,
that's another
Like,
conversation.
why?
Yeah.
I don't like this person.
Yeah, I hate
and
that
this
whole narrative.
like this person is not my vibe, or this whole thing that, you know, you're gay, and automatically we're fucking each other. Like, that's just not.
But the media doesn't help to fix this either, because this is an old example, but in Sex and the City, one of the most annoying things to me was that these two gay characters they had that were, you know, permanent characters on the show, they hated each other when they first met because they tried to set him up, and it was a whole thing of, like, just because we're gay, you think we're going to be together. And then on the damn show, they had them get married. In the second movie, they're married to each other. And it's like they started dating because there was no one else in all of New York City.
Because
and
there's not a lot of gay people in New York.
Yeah, and they were never attracted to each other, so they just had to settle for each other. But the media definitely plays into this. And people do think that what you just said is real, that gay people are just fucking each other all the time, and that's it, and that's all.
And some of us are, but like, that's not, you know, we're not a monolith either.
Agreed. That's the whole point. And, like, you know, not fetishizing people, not allowing these ideas to take hold, and, like, us to stereotype one another on these sick things. And it's just, like, just sex, which is why, like, your whole argument about porn is, like, that's not all people are. We're not just
but also, it has to see it as entertainment. It's supposed to be entertainment. It's not real. And I think some people...
If we're watching it for hours, let me examine this.
No, not to examine it, but I do think because of apps and how everything's distance-based, right? People try to make porn reality, and it's for entertainment. It's not, like, you know what I mean?
But it does warp your mind,
you know what I mean? It's just, like, that's what I'm saying, like, the storylines and stuff and the violence. And I think that's why a lot of people are hypersexualized now, and everything's like, hey, you're in my building, let's fuck right now.
Well,
like,
and not
you know what I mean?
Dealing with the real fucking issue, which is the trauma, you know what I mean? Like, that will cause you to be, at least, you know, sleep with whoever, do whatever you want.
No, do whatever you want.
But to be reckless with your life, or just you're not really doing it for, like, pleasure, you know what I mean? Or even just being addicted. You might be addicted to something, which is an issue, you know? But yeah, it is, we know the fetishization is harmful and definitely perpetuates racism, stereotypes, and white supremacy, you know? When we're talking about this country specifically.
Oh yeah, I agree, and I think technology has
exacerbated
it, but also it sells, right? It sells. I mean, like, you know, porn wasn't so mainstream before, like.
Well, I mean, there's different kinds of porn now too, and different ways.
But I mean, the access to it now. I mean, look at OnlyFans. Became a $1 billion company.
And that's specifically for, like, most people are going on there for. I mean, you may just want to catch up with your favorite gardener, I guess, on OnlyFans and watch them plant something. But it's probably
plant something. What? While they fucking the garden?
All right.
Plant something.
That's what I don't know.
I don't have. No, you watch HGTV for that.
Yeah. That's what they're doing on OnlyFans. It's very wholesome.
Oh yes, they're gardening. Yes.
But yeah, there's a lot to be said about that and how we consume and, like, when, because I'm sure people do it all times a day. It's not even like there's a specific time to do X, Y, and Z.
No, it's just so. I mean, it's so accessible. I mean, you know, we're old enough that we remember a time where I mean, porn was like a fucking. I remember VH.
Yeah, I know. You have to go or be
A
shamed
freaking
and
tape,
go into one
yeah.
of those. I remember when I
Right.
used to see them at the trash bodegas where they'd have like a fake ass curtain over
Right.
something. It's like I
Like-
know what's in these boxes, like these magazines.
Right. Or then when it became when it was on the internet,
Yeah.
you had to pay price to enter the website. And are you sure you're 18 and this content now? I mean, just there's like 20 million
Are you
websites.
18? Yes.
I am.
Why did you say sure? Come on in.
And like now it's just like, and then you have OnlyFans and then people promoting on
Yeah.
Instagram and
You're
they're
right.
like. They're like their own self-made
Yeah.
porn star,
Yeah.
and they're doing production
But yeah,
studios
you're
with
right.
their-
It does
with
feed.
their iPhone here,
Yeah.
and it's like it's just crazy.
Yeah, you're right. It does make people have this false sense of reality. Of
Right.
Where's the line, and then feeds into, oh, I saw on this clip that black women do this, so I'm going to approach you in this way.
Right.
I mean, there's so much to be said about porn and how it is not helpful and sexual.
Well, I'm not saying we should get rid of
No.
it.
But I mean, like, in terms of, like, even I think about something like, pleasure, women's
Right.
pleasure, and, like, how women are
I agree.
brutalized in a lot of these porns. Or it's not even about, like,
I mean, gay guys
pleasing.
are too.
Yeah, I mean, the things I have come across are just awful. No
Right.
human should be subject to these types of things.
Unless they want to.
Unless they
Consent
want to.
culture.
But I still question whether or not it's
Right.
physically okay, some of these things. But anyway.
I know what you're talking about.
But women are, again, like, and people are seen as objects through this lens, not just
Absolutely.
women, but that's the point I want to bring up in terms of pleasure. Where, a guy will be with a girl for the first time and think because they did something like in the
Right.
porn that it means something instead of actually connecting with somebody.
That's what I'm saying. That connection.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
And that is the thing with fetishization. There is a lack of connection and really seeing somebody for who they are.
Right.
So yes, you
Or
can.
being with someone just for the experience,
Right.
not because you like the person. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like that's what I think.
Yeah.
Because like I was telling you, in like gay porn, like trans porn is very big, and it's like again that whole thing that you're talking about, like like the objectification and the
Yeah.
brutality that happens in these porn, like that is what I'm saying. It doesn't help the narrative, in the
Or
real
just-
world. Or
yeah.
again, just a disclaimer that this is supposed to be entertainment. It's supposed to
Right.
be exciting, but it's
Or
not
if-
reality.
yeah,
This
or
is not
even-
to be tried at home
Yeah.
unless you've talked about it.
Right.
And there's
That's
there's
the
an
thing.
understanding.
Some people have, kinks or things that they're into or want to try or whatever.
Yeah. Some
But
of them
if-
are too much.
Yeah, but if you think that that's all people will want, like,
Right.
or these things that are more extreme, because they are more extreme.
Absolutely.
It's not vanilla sex we're talking about. Like, you will view people a certain way and then dehumanize them and quite possibly think it's fine. And that's just the order of business. This is how it goes. This is how these people want to be treated. So that's an excellent point you bring up. But yeah.
Well, I think we covered everything we wanted about this topic. And I think, I mean, again, this is something that we could talk more about. And actually, I would love for this to follow up with this topic with like other people's like interpretations of this, of their
experiences.
definition of, but also experiences, because I do think in today's world, this is so common, because I hear
Yeah.
with all my friends,
Everybody.
particularly my female friends, really,
Well,
but even
that's-
even my gay friends too, like, not understanding it, or like not realizing, or not even realizing they're being fetishized in a way. But I think it's something to talk about, and it's
Absolutely.
interesting to get people's experiences here, because I
Absolutely.
think the only way we like try to analyze it or make it better is through talking about it and sharing people's experiences. I mean, and by no means am I saying that, what we talked about shouldn't exist, like dating apps or porn
Oh,
or any of
no, it
these
should
things, or the
exist.
Kardashians, but just questioning how those type of things affect society and affect our psyche, collective psyche as
Absolutely.
society. Because I do think, like, in 50 years, the world's going to be so different. Dating's going to be different. The way we see sex and things is, I mean, it's already so different than when I remember when I was a child.
I mean, us and our parents were worlds apart.
Right, exactly. And I think it's going to be even more different as people are more introduced, like,
to different things.
And their
things becoming more,
experiences, right? Like, as a
normalized.
teenager, I'm thinking about, like, me when I was dealing with my sexuality and stuff, like, if Grindr existed when I was a teenager, what's that
I don't
experience?
know how the hell these kids
Right, and
should
that's
have-
something to think about.
Jesus.
Or even heterosexual people. Like,
no, I'm
how,
talking about dating sites. I would hate to, like,
how is sex going to change, like, first experiences when you can go on there? I mean, you have to be 18, but you can lie.
But also, what is the experience?
What's
but,
the
Well, I mean,
experience?
and also it is nuanced too, because I feel like there are a lot of old things that, like the whole idea of virginity. Yes, you should, having sex with somebody is a big deal, generally speaking, right? Regardless of people want to say it's not. You're exchanging lots of things in this instance, mainly energy.
Sometimes more than
that you want to, but like at least there's an energy exchange for sure with
yeah.
another person that you're having sex with. But like, old concepts of virginity for girls specifically, and that being your only thing that you have, I like the idea of those things changing, but also there does need to be some type of balance. And again, as we were saying before, it's totally fine to have porn, to have these apps, to even have a preference, to realize, oh, okay, I kind of like this kind of look for somebody, but recognizing that a real connection is what makes it a preference versus a fetish,
Right.
Like, and not just using somebody for some idea that you have when you're not even really fucking talking to the person. Like, yeah, I like dudes with beards, but doesn't mean that any guy with the beard is now my husband. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. But I think it's about the experience, too.
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of sexual experiences are now, is about experiencing it. Like, oh, I saw this in porn, or, oh, I heard about this with, like, black guys or Latin guys,
Yeah.
so I'm going to do this.
yeah, that's wild.
It's kind of like going back to the Insecure
yeah,
scene.
with
It
Lauren.
was like, listen,
It's an experiment.
like
for
we
people.
were with Daquan, and now we're gonna because it was fun with him, so it's gonna be fun.
with you,
It's gonna be
'cause you
the
look
same.
like-
It's gonna be the same exact
Yeah,
experience.
yeah.
You're not your own person. You're not like different.
Separate.
It's- right.
Lawrence is not Daquan.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So I just think just thinking that, I think, is interesting, like, because that's a big part of society now. I mean, it's like in the mainstream.
Yeah.
I was watching last night this it's not a great movie, but it's called Single All the Way on Netflix. It's about this like it's a gay
Oh, I'm gonna
romantic
watch that.
comedy.
too.
It's
It
horrible.
keeps popping up
It's
on
not
my
a good one.
suggested.
It's
Okay.
so cheesy
Dang.
and poorly written. But I wanted to support it because I think it's cute that we have like a romantic comedy Christmas theme that's about two gay guys getting together. But they talk about Grindr in there, and I was saying like, wow, how like mainstream all these dating apps are.
Yeah.
Like everyone knows about like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge,
Yeah.
Grindr, all these apps. It's like it's a part of mainstream. So what is that like? How is that going to change like how we talk about sex and like sexual encounters? It already has,
Yeah,
but
even just the technology that we have, sending people nudes. I mean, this wasn't a thing.
Right.
Like sending sexting. Like,
Right,
and
that's
kids
true.
people are doing this
Very young.
without being on sites either.
Oh,
like
right,
they're
right,
just
right.
they're experiencing.
right.
But
I remember the
but it is-
SUV, Law and Order SUV
Oh,
episode with
which
the sexting.
one?
I don't know. They had one sexting when I was still in.
Dang, we're on season 23 now, so
I want to say I was in high school. I think like a senior or something, and it was about.
did they try and send a girl to jail for child porn because she wouldn't come out against her rape? Yes, okay, I remember.
That was
So-
an old one, but
yeah.
she had the short hair.
Yes.
She had really short, yeah. So that one, and like exactly, that's so true. And
Yeah.
like again, like I said, just how that changes people's sexual
Yeah, because
experiences.
it's different from in real life when you actually get together with the person
Right.
and do X, Y,
Or
Z.
even revenge
Oh my
porn. Like
God,
this is a
that's-
new
yeah.
freaking legal
Yeah.
term, and it's like
I
Jesus
know.
Christ.
Well, I'm glad that people will be penalized because that's really sick to do that to somebody.
I mean, yeah, but yeah.
But it is a brave new world that we live in.
I mean, but also the legality of who owns that is interesting. Like, is it the
Well, if you
people in
send
it,
I would
or
think
if
so.
you record it? I don't know. It's,
I think that the person in it should own the image of their body. Like, that would make sense to me. Or does Apple own it? You took this with my camera.
That's right.
Apple's like, don't worry, we literally have everyone's news.
Right, exactly. That's so true. It's very true. It's like weird, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I think like it's like the world has changed so much that we don't really like process these changes and how,
Well, it's hard. I
you
mean,
know, because I don't even remember when I can't remember exactly when dating apps became like everyone was
mainstream
on it.
and not a weirdo. Although
Right, because it was weird, like
in the
for-
90s,
right?
yeah, for people,
And
to
even
be-
the early
or classified
2000s, like in
ads.
college, it wasn't big. At least I wasn't big on
No.
them in college.
I
but
wasn't
then,
on them.
like I would say like 24, 25 is when it became like, at least for my
Yeah,
in my head,
2015.
it became like mainstream, and everyone
Yeah.
was meeting and marrying people that they met on these apps and stuff.
Well, I remember them slowly
And then,
coming up, but it being
eHarmony blowing up,
Oh,
and
yeah.
OkCupid blowing up, and Christian Mingle with the killer. That made Christian Mingle like,
well, the Craigslist killer
and the
too.
Craigslist crickets,
I
but they had
mean,
the Christian Mingle
Because
one
I mean,
too.
to be honest, I think I definitely did have like some ad on Craigslist at one point in college. Like I was like a
yeah,
senior,
everyone did, yeah.
and I was like, maybe I can meet. It was like something seeking educated tall black man. Fetishizing. Damn it. So, but anyway, you're right. It was totally different, and
It was just
it has
different.
evolved. But I think it's, oh no, people are the dregs on here. COVID has really fucked up the sites, even though they weren't shit before. But it's an interesting dynamic that we have, even through Instagram. People date
That's
just
true.
sliding through DMs. Like
That's right.
there's a whole different way to do all of these types of things, but we'll get into it
Yeah.
another time. But super awesome. We're so happy that you listened, if you came this far.
Yes.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our pages, and tune in for our next episode.
Thanks, guys.
For me as a Black trans woman, the moments that I felt fetishized have been moments that I've been reduced to an identity or to equality and not fully seen as my brilliant, amazing self.
To me, being fetishized is like this gross feeling I get when someone fixates on my culture or something that's aesthetic, but that's not about me as a human being.
It's very singular and one-dimensional.
You're a fat body, you're a queer body, like, and not anything that is actually me.